All right. Think everything is starting up here. All right. And we are live. Hey, everybody. It's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down, do a Q&A current events for you lovely people for the afternoon. Don't know how long I'm going to stay in this one. Um, Remains to be seen. But thought we'd cover some current events, get in here, chat with everybody, get some topics, get some conversations going. So, lovely Rottweiler. Well, hello to you, lovely Rottweiler. Hit that like button if you would, please. Let's get this going. Hey, David, what's going on, guys? So, let's get over to the topic. I'm just going to briefly cover this because we do have it. It's a big topic of the news. Some dim lawmakers made a video yesterday trying to send a message to the troops. Trump got pissed, called it sedition, said they should possibly be executed for it. My quick take on that, I don't like what they were necessarily trying to do because they're trying to interfere with the stuff with ICE. They're trying to interfere with the flow of illegal immigration. However, was it sedition? No, not based on what I could see. But he has the point of if they actually do really push and conspire as a group to get troops to disobey orders, it could fall under conspiracy for sedition. But as people pointing that out with execution, from my understanding of the law, it falls under a federal felony, but I don't think it carries the death penalty in that case. Now, if they are members of the military, if they are currently National Guard, they're active duty, and they have sedition that goes into that. That can, in some cases, that can actually be an executable offense. But I'm almost certain in that case, like I said, I could be wrong. That has to be military. It's under military law, not necessarily citizens. And just because they're lawmakers or they're Congress and senators doesn't make them active duty military. Different set of rules here. But if they were found guilty of that, which when I can tell, it's not that. Just going off what I'm hearing and seeing, I don't think it is the case. I don't think they're going to get charged with anything based on it. However, would it justify them being on a watch list potentially to see are they going to push something like that further? So again, kind of a big deal, guys. It is it's a big deal. And the problem is the spirit behind what they were trying to do. They're trying to make implications that any of this stuff involving disruption and riots and protests around ICE carrying out its legal duties definitely becomes a problem because they are at a point where with some of that, the National Guard and stuff is actually justified. If there's actual riots or violence against groups of federal agents trying to carry out their actions, yeah. And especially if there's any risk of foreign nationals involved, there's foreign flags being flown at the protests. That actually can turn into an act of war, right? Christina, I don't discuss that at all. All right, and David is correct. Coach, I had to dip from the stream the other day with who won the 10 nippers and Tim Alexander Leonidas versus Pete Male Polar Bear. Your mom, actually. So, because I had that option up, so your mom won, but in second place was the polar bear, right? Which I think is reasonable. But we could re-ask that question. We could put it in the poll again. Young, essentially, well, it could be an act of war if it's foreign nationals, but if it's American citizens at a protest, right? If it's U.S. citizens standing next to an aiding foreign nationals in assaulting a federal agent under a foreign flag. So let's say, for example, protesters at some event do assault federal agents who are American citizens and they help any foreign nationals in the crowd in an act of violence while flying under a foreign flag. That could be an executable offense. That could be life in prison or up to a death penalty for that person for treason. So that's why I tell people that's stupid. Don't go to a protest with another country's flag flying above you if it's going to turn violent. That's the stupidest thing you could possibly do. Just don't do it. All right. Right. It would be dumb. But but an act of war. I mean, technically, yeah. If a violent protest has illegal immigrants from another country in it, flying under a foreign flag, and they become violent with federal agents using the National Guard violently, is 100% justified. Right? Can you cut while losing weight? What? Those things kind of go hand in hand. Rom says, Jason, do you think it's easy to pass a power? I don't know what's currently being implemented. It's probably not overly difficult, excessively difficult. I don't know what they're currently doing because I don't advocate people cheat on it. Cut while using muscle. Sorry, coach. Can you cut while gaining muscle? It's been done in the lab. It's not particularly easy to do, but it has been done. It's been done in the lab. Right? Stays in the system, or do you mean shows on metabolite tests in urine? They're not the same thing. They absolutely do not stay in the system. No, basic biology fail. They do not stay in your system. Basic biology and medical fail. We're not even, you're at freshman level failing. You just failed your class. Sorry, bro. Now, can some of them show on a metabolite test on urine for a long period of time? Absolutely. But they're not in your system. The drug is not in your system. Right? Right. I don't know who Clavicar is. So I don't know what you even wrote. Clavicar is doing surge for looks maxing. Bloopty flop, fleet blop, blue blobbin, blue blah, choo choo train, poo poo, looks maxing. Could you put that in English? So start that over in English, please. I don't know what you just wrote. So retype that in plain English. English. It's do you speak it? I don't know what you wrote. Start that over. You're going to need to define some terms here. He, okay. So we've determined that Clavicar is a he. Okay, so Clavicar is a person who happens to be male. Now we're making progress here. You see what I'm saying, guys? Okay, so there's a man somewhere who calls himself Clavicar, is doing surge. Is that a drug? What is surge? Is this a music? Is this an instrument? Is this a basketball team? So why do we care about this nonsense? He sounds like a degenerate. All right. How would you want to go about cheating the system? How long is trend? Hey, Brom, I'm not going to give advice at all on passing drug tests. I think you sound like a piece of crap if you want to pass drug tests, dude. What are you doing? Go compete in untested. Okay. Well, looks maxing, anyone who uses the term looks maxing is already some sort of weirdo, metrosexual, takes it in the booty, something. I don't know. I don't take anyone seriously who uses the term looks maxing. Sounds like a bunch of kids who are confused about their sexuality or something. I don't know. Who pluck their eyebrows and stuff. I don't understand it. Definitely not going to get girls doing this stuff. All right. I mean, lifting a form of Luke's maxing. I can assure you, I don't pluck my eyebrows to lift weights. I don't put on makeup, whatever these guys are doing. So is protesting a president for holding a flag is a crime. No, young buck. Hey, young, don't paraphrase me. I will ban you for paraphrasing me. That is not what I said. I want you to type exactly word for word what I said. Okay? Next. Now, Joe Schmo, we should reinstitute that vote from earlier. So, being involved in a violent protest to where you assault federal agents. You might have missed that part. Yes, in theory, you could get yourself a death penalty because you're committing an act of treason by doing so while fighting under a foreign flag. That's become treason. Assaulting a federal agent in the performance of their duties while fighting under a foreign flag as a U.S. citizen, okay, could be considered treason, which can carry the death penalty. It's kind of a big deal. So I'm telling guys, don't do this stupid stuff. Don't go to a protest where they're waving another country's flag above your head. Don't do it. It could go really, really badly for you. I took today off from training. I kind of had one of those days where I got up, sleep was a little disturbed, did my vlog. I went to lay back down and take a nap. I'm like, my body is exhausted. I need a day off from lifting. My body needs it. So I took the day. I'll restart lifting heavy. I'll do a GPP session tomorrow. Monday, we come back heavy. But I noticed that with my grip strength getting weaker this last week, this is a sign. Young, do you not understand? I'm not sure what you're not grasping here. Do you not understand the concept of assaulting a federal agent violently with another country's flag flying above your head and assisting a foreign national while doing so? Like, are you not understanding? I mean, you can't be that dumb. Bro, young, you can't be that stupid. You can't, I can't accept that you are that dumb because you're capable of spelling out young buck with correct spelling. You can't possibly, right? You didn't get a notification, James? Oh, that's not good. Right? Of course, the barber shapes my eyebrows. That's probably okay. As long as you're not calling it looks maxing and doing a bunch of stuff in the mirror with your face, you know. So you don't understand what that means? I mean it quite literally. No, it's not. It's not a bit dramatic. So, are you talking about if someone wanted to make a political example of you? No, it's not a bit dramatic. Consider the current administration for a minute. Consider the current administration and who is sitting in the White House. Given that they could technically play that card and it could fly in court legally from a prosecution perspective. Does it seem a bit dramatic? Would you take the chance? I wouldn't risk it. I occasionally miss a training day, Scott. I miss maybe one or two a year. It was one of those where it was just, I felt the fatigue kick in and I'm like, you know what? I don't think it would be wise to get under the barbell today. Just my body, my instincts told me, look, you don't do this often. Let's take the day off from lifting. Because my triceps were a little crampy. My left hip feels a little funny. It's like, it started cramping a little bit. I'm like, let's just chill. Take a moment, chill, get some quality food in, right? Just be real chill with it. Hey, Joe, should we redo? We should get another vote. So should we redo the one then about the alphas versus the polar bear? Or should we do a different one? You do not have a First Amendment right to assault federal agents. No, the First Amendment does not protect the right to assault federal agents in the performance of their duties. So you're asking me from a legal and a military perspective and a treason perspective why it matters what flag and nation you are fighting under? You're telling me you don't understand that? Okay. I have started multiple fiction novels that didn't fit. So, Young, let me state this again. Let me start over completely from scratch, okay? The problem that people need to be aware of involved in a protest like that, I'm going to explain this very clearly. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm going to move on. Okay, are you ready? If at one of these protests there's a crowd and that crowd has foreign nationals in it, let's say someone from Mexico, someone from Haiti, someone from Colombia, particularly if they are in the country illegally. You understand this? All right, there are people in the crowd. One of those people assaults a federal agent in the performance of his duties. With another country's flag flying above them. Do you understand? While fighting under a flag, literally fighting under a flag of another country as a foreign national in the country illegally, and you are involved in an altercation that assaults that federal agent while doing it literally flying another country's flag as an illegal invader. Okay, do you see where we're going? And then you as a citizen are next to them helping them. If it's a Confederate flag, given that that's no longer a country, I don't know. You need to get a lawyer involved on that one. I'm not going to be able to answer that one. I don't know, because it's not technically a country anymore. Like, that country's gone. That country was destroyed and lost a war and has been disbanded. Right? The Confederacy's dead. It's gone forever. It's dead. Right? It lost a war. It was disintegrated. Anyone still holding on to that is being ridiculous. All right, next. So let's come over to that point, Young Buck. So they do that. And if you are a U.S. citizen and you are helping a foreign national assault a federal agent in the performance of their duties while doing so underneath a foreign flag, do not be shocked if you're charged with treason. So do you understand this at this point? Well, it would be representing allegiance, but in this case, you're literally flying it. Literally. Because on a field of battle, that is often done. Right? You have patches, you have flags on the vehicles, or you sometimes have a flag flying. I have Tyrone. Great question. Yes, more than one. I have officially coached more than one. So I've also coached active duty military of more than one country so far. So young buck, yes. So understand that that could be considered an act of treason against the actual government by the citizens. It's legal to stand under the flag. The assault on a federal agent while doing so, flying under or wearing the other country's flag as a representative of them, it could really cause you extra grief in court. Yes. Right. Right. Have I coached any big YouTubers? How are we defining as a big YouTuber? Well, no, it could actually get you. Well, not a war crime, young buck. It could get you charged with treason. Treason can carry the death penalty. No, I mean I'm dead serious. Like I am quite serious. I'm not trolling you. I'm not being dramatic. I am telling you, in a worst case scenario, that could happen. Yes, that's why it's extremely stupid. No, you call it a war crime. So So Joe Frazier would be the only YouTuber with any following I've ever coached, correct? And that's been quite a while. It's a long time ago. Young Buck, you call it a war crime. I didn't. You said it 3 or 4 times. I did not utter that. That was you who called it that. Yeah, that was your term. You typed. I didn't say that. Joe Frazier with a Z, the YouTuber. Right. He's coaching federal. It's safe to assume he has coached a lot of fitness YouTubers. How you doing, Coach and Chat? Everything's good. Yeah. So we need a good vote. Let's put up a good question, guys. Let's have a good question for the vote. But I didn't misspeak. So go back and check the stream, Warbuck. Go back and listen to it again. You said that I didn't. Go rewind it. I know for a fact I didn't say it. I mean, Coach, maybe not directly, but indirectly, a ton of them ran my free programming. Kelly Musser, Ian McCarthy, the cellmate. Perfect question. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. All right. Great. So guys, we got one. Don't clip me repeating it from you. My line didn't say it, young buck. I only read your question out loud on that one because I wouldn't have said that because I wouldn't have used that term. Because my brain wasn't even going there. So start a poll. All right, we've started a poll. All right. Ian, I had to add Peg Watson to that, by the way. All right. Kapow is when they vote you. We vote you off and you get banned. So what are you asking? Live chat. Yeah. Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is just ridiculous. No, he really did write that. He really did write. Wait, where was the Kapow stated? Hold up, guys. Young Buck. So Connor has called as a channel member and a mod. Connor has called for a Kapow of Young Buck. Kapow or stay. James gives a kapow. Connor, I assume you're giving a kapow. J-Dog gives a kapow. And he stays. I'm going to leave the voting open a little longer, guys. I didn't see that. Fair enough. It's treason. All right, 3-0. Young Buck, you have been judged by a jury of your peers, and you have been found guilty of treason against the Team Blaha live stream. The sentence for this is death. May God have mercy on your soul, for the live stream will not. Kapow! And justice has been served. Okay. Well, it was already 3-0, David. It would have been 3-1. All right. Well, guys, he's already been banned. Why'd you guys wait so long to vote, man? Y'all waited till after we read the whole sentence out. Class in session. Ian is bisexual. We would love prison. Yeah, but technically, isn't Peg Watson also? Didn't he? Is a self? Someone said he was self-admittedly, and then we know Callie. So I mean, I don't think we can really single Ian out on that. Right. We'll check the voting though. The voting currently has, oh man, Ian and your mom are tied. Isn't Peg Watson Callie Muscle? He might be. Wes Watson says he's everything. What does he mean? Like he does that whole trisexual line or whatever? Yeah, I'm strictly taco, no burrito. You know, I just can't get into another man's hairy butt. Just not my thing, guys. You know, I'm not judging. I'm just saying. Right? They asked him if he's straight. He said he's everything. Gotcha. Right? Callie's the straightest of the three, to be honest. Right? Maybe, I don't know. Possibly. Callie has kids. That's true. Are they his? Do we know for a fact? But no, true. He does have kids, so we know he has been able to finish with a woman. So, you know, we do have confirmed evidence of this. Right. Voted for Callie. Good. Okay. All right. I mean, you're allowed to vote that way, dude. You know. Who's Ian? Oh man, let's not get through the whole Ian thing again. We've had to discuss this in vast detail already. Who's Ian? Let me check. I didn't even check Facebook. I don't even know what's going on the Facebook. No, there's been no comments. There's viewers, but nobody's commenting. I'll back over. I wonder if Ian knows about hooping paperwork. I don't even know what hooping paperwork is. What does that mean? Is this some sort of prison lingo? Like a prison wallet or something? I know the term prison wallet. I've also heard that you got to be very careful about not accidentally splashing another dude with pee in the bathroom. I've heard things, right? I've heard that too, that in prison, like that's apparently a really big deal. So a lot of dudes who've been to prison sit down when they pee. I'm not sure if this is true. I've heard this. I don't know that it's a fact. I've heard that a lot of dudes who did really hard time sit down to pee because they had to be careful of that in prison. Like if you accidentally at the latrine or something, like splash another dude with any overspray, that, yeah, splash back in the cell. I've heard that, man, that's like a straight beat down. Right? I've heard that is like a straight like beat down, man. Like you are, bro. I've heard that you are in trouble at that point, especially if you're in there with lifers. That's what I've heard. Like you're in there with some lifers, man, and you splash pee. Like you about to have a bad day. I've heard this. So J Dog said, I've been to prison, and yes, you have to sit down and piss in a cell living, but in dorms they have urinals. Okay. Right. Like I can see that though. Like that makes sense, right? You don't want some other dude splashing you with piss, man. You know, that's I can see how this could be a problem. You know, I can see how this could be a problem, man. But I mean it makes sense. Right? Especially you're in a cell with any dudes who are like they're a lifer or something. They don't have anything to lose. You don't accidentally pissed on a man. Bro, probably not gonna go too well. Like it's not like that guy's scared of catching another charge at that point. You know, what's one more? Right? And you just disrespected him for carrying a firearm. Oh man, so you're a political prisoner. Right? So carrying a firearm. So how'd that happen? What went down, man? Nobody wants pee on the floor either. It's just Leatherface. That's also true, man. You know, I don't know, man. How about I just don't go to prison? Right? There's already a fellow contingent here. Gotcha. I heard even on the floor. I mean, I could see that too. Dudes don't want to be stepping in your piss either, man. I mean, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense. Um, you know, problem with California. That's my view, though. I've said that before too, though, that if a person is safe enough to let out of prison, I don't believe in restricting gun rights. And I know that's a controversial stance. If they're too dangerous to carry a gun, they're too dangerous for you to have let out of the cell. You know, they're rehabilitated enough to be a functional member of society. They have rights as a citizen. It's a guaranteed right of all citizens. No, he's screwed, dude. No, if he got reincarcerated for carrying already for any sort of felony, he's pretty much screwed on that one indefinitely. Like I don't think there's any pathway back out of that under the current laws, like at the federal level. Yeah, like he is barred unless the laws change. He is going to be barred in the entire United States indefinitely from owning a firearm or having one in his possession. That is just the current state of the law. Yeah. Right. Yeah, including even for hunting purposes. Yeah, it's California, man. You know, rather be caught with it than caught without it. Valid point. Or the other line, it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by Carry it by 9. Or is it by 6? Jason, would you rather share a cell with Michael Hearn or Cassidy Campbell? I guess Michael Hearn. We'd at least have more in common. Cassidy get on my nerves real fast. What about pepper spray? I don't know. I don't know any rules on pepper spray. I don't think pepper spray is restricted. So you can carry a knife. I mean, I carry a blade too. Usually, if I go anywhere, I usually carry a piece and I carry a blade, which is legal here. Like, not a problem. Like, we don't restrict blade size as long as you keep it in the sheath. Swords and Bowie knives are legal or carry where I live. You can't unsheath it in public just randomly, though. All right. So an EDC blade isn't a bad thing to have. I have a few different ones. I mean, someone asked me this morning, so I think I still have it in here. Yeah. So I usually carry a smaller knife. Right. Who gets a kapow? I don't see that person. I don't see that person, Connor. They're not showing up. Do I need to reload the live chat? They might have banned me. Let me see if it'll reload it. Yeah, that's crazy. I can't see them, Connor. Oh, there they are. Now he appeared. Wilson, liking getting pegged doesn't make him gay. It's just his kink. We can let that one stay. It's he's giving an opinion on that, right? Joined 1 minute. He joined 1 minute ago. All right. Let me think on it for a moment. We'll see if anyone wants to second that. But I usually carry a smaller blade like this, just as a backup, just as EDC also. So this is a really small knife. Right. I do have some bigger blades. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. What do you think of the Glock? I am not going to be doing the Glock V series. I am not buying another Glock after that fiasco. I will go back to Smith & Wesson for any of my Striker 5 purchases in the future. Nope. There was a whole complicated kapow. Oh, so this one up here, he said for Wes Watson liking getting pegged, saying it doesn't make him gay. I'm going to lean in the direction of if it's by a woman, it's not technically gay, but it's definitely degenerate kink. I mean, technically, if it doesn't involve another man, but yeah. Yeah, we're not going to kapow for that one for now. It's borderline, but maybe we do need to chill with too much perverse talk. We need to keep this reasonably, PG-13 in here, right? Right. Bit like snowballing a woman, I say that's borderline. Is it your own? No, it's definitely not. Not if it's your own. It's a kink, but it's not gay. Now, if it's another dude's, well, technicality here, right? JL, you don't want to know, man. You don't want to know, bro. Man, let's just stop. Let's move on from this this topic because I'm also on Facebook right now, guys. I'm streaming on both platforms. Yeah, it's if it's somebody else's, I think there's no question. Like we can't. There's no debate. There's no debate on that. That one's open and shut case. That's clear cut, black and white. Right. Because before long, dudes are going to be like, even kissing your own girl after she went down on you. It's like, no, guys, just stop. That's fine. Topic. Well, we did have the Trump topic. Do you have any thermal optics for those dark engagements? I have flashlights. Usually use lights. No, I don't have any thermal. I have red dots, so I have aim points. I like lights though on some stuff. Tyrone. Right. Like my bedside piece, the one I usually answer my door with too. It has a light. You got to be careful with lights though, because they identify you too, right? They can spot you. So be aware that lights work both ways. You flip that light on somebody, they know where you are. Wish I could troll up like you guys. You got to move to the States, man. Or you guys need to deal with your own government. I called the guy, got mad this morning. I told him, man, it's not my fault, dude. Your governments are cucking you. Like, do something about it. Joe says he never kissed his exes after him. Man, dude, it's fine. I have. Can you bench just once a week? So I could have been like, Joe, I kissed one of your exes after she went down. No, I'm kidding. Sure, you can bench just once a week. I currently bench 3 times a week, but you can bench once a week. Sure. No, James, it's not. No, man. How many this week are you do? About 6 total. Because I do the big 3 on all my main workouts. I do squat, bench, and deadlift first right now. Do you think it's efficient enough flashlight, or you might add a thermal? No, I don't need a thermal. I mean, Tyrone, I'll show you real quick. Let me see if I can do this without too many problems. It's a toy. No, I usually so Harry, the 220, the 19 reps was after doing a top set with 315 first. That's not the first set. So I do 315 for a top set and then drop down to 225. It's back off work. So the 19 reps was after doing a top set with 315. So always keep a few extra mags handy. I got all that just a toy. So example, this is my bedside piece. So I usually have a light with a laser, and then I have Trigicons. So I have Trigicon night sights. So I mean, I'm pretty good in the dark. And then obviously I've got a light on there. That's a plastic toy. All right, I'll be right back. I need to get some water. You guys hit like. I don't have any pistol optics right now. All right. All right, we're back. Well, that's my normal bedside and door answer. I mean, obviously, there's a kick at the door. I'm gonna grab an AR. All right, we just go to a rifle at that point. So then we have optics, right? So Diesel, I like pistol optics. I just don't have any right now. Eventually, I may go over to. Some of the Smiths come optics ready pretty easy. Shotgun is good. Yeah, that can be a good option, right? This is my kitchen piece. All right. So yeah. Now I keep that hidden, so it's not easy to find, but I know where it's at. So if I'm doing the dishes or cooking and someone's, trying to get inside, I just grab Mossberg 500, right? And I usually keep buckshot in that. But yeah, all my ARs have optics though. So ARs we do. No, I've never had a break-in. Not thus far. It wouldn't go well. This would be a bad street. There's a lot of ARs on this street. Like this would be a really bad street to break in on. But I run aim points on all the ARs. All right, so we do aim points. Yeah. What do you mean, why so many? What are you talking about? How many do you think I have, Harry? Why are you asking me why I need so many guns? Who are you? Right? ATF in the chat. When did you make your account? We got to investigate. Who is this person? You just made your account today. That's not suspicion. It's the guy who made the Wes Watson. Sounds like a Fed. That's right. That's stalker talk. If he's new. Oh, man. Davis calling for a kapow. Connor already wanted a kapow. So we've now had 2 channel members who want a kapow. All right. All right. So we got Connor, we got David, we got James. Have all voted for a kapow. Any stays? Tyrone wants to give him a stay. Right? Any other votes? Harry, you have been judged by a jury of your peers and been found guilty of possibly being an ATF spy. You have been voted off the island by a jury of your peers. A little bit of shake and bake. Get out of here. You out. Pow. Or as the great Ali G said, Booyakasha. Right. Although, man, I feel a little cultural appropriated by Cohen there with him using the Yashamash. I'm just saying, as someone of Czech ethnicity, from a very traditional family, you know, right? Very traditional Czech family. You know, he did appropriate my culture with that Yashamash. You know, saying my Mima would be rolling over in her grave. Yeah, it was off to the gym. Well, take care, Connor. That's what brought so much hostility. It's like this aggression will not stand, man. Right? Oh man. He's gonna train everything. Yeah. Supposed to have a consultation tonight. Hopefully that goes through. Somebody's done them before. He hasn't paid yet, but he wanted to do one. He always pays them. It always comes through. Are we allowed to discuss? Yeah, man, we can discuss politics. Come on with it. I may not want to always get into the discussion you drop, but I mean, yeah, if you want to discuss a little politics, we can, you know, within reason. We used to not, but we do now, right? We do now. The rules have changed. I'm allowed to change the rules over time. What you want to talk about? Alpha Destiny Rat Polls gave me 45-36. Give me a minute. I might want to post a meme real quick. Uh-oh. Minor problem with that. All right. Any update on the Epstein files? Nothing yet. Would you get rid of the welfare state? Um, I think we definitely need some adjustments to it. I don't think so much. We don't have a true welfare state in the U.S. We really don't. Do I think we have some larger issues that need to be taken care of to cut down on welfare? Yeah, absolutely. Like I get that there are situations to where, single mothers and the working poor, sometimes there are things they need, or the disabled and so on. But do we have a situation to where we have poverty that can be avoided and be removed by fixing other problems in our society, namely the flow of drugs, right? And I've discussed in detail a lot of how to clean those things up. Like we don't reduce welfare by starving children. Or like we don't fix the problem by starving children. We fix the amount of welfare we have by assessing why do we have a poverty problem to begin with. And I think the biggest issue with that is drugs. Like drugs. The flow of drugs into our country needs to be shut down. And I mean really wage a war on drugs. We got to address the alcoholism issue, right? This is how you fix and cut the welfare back. So if we dealt with alcohol and the drug problem in this country, how much of our welfare would just drop dramatically without changing any of the rules, right? So these are things that have to be addressed as a comprehensive solution, not how do we fix the welfare issue? Well, you fix the welfare issue by really looking at these social factors that create poverty, that create the crime, that create the lack of people working or inability to work enough to earn sufficient living. I mean, drugs and alcohol are at the top of the problem, the very, very tip top of that list. Would President Blaha, in theory, yes. In practice, that's damn hard to do. If you were to ask me philosophically and ideologically, yes. Now, effectively implementing it's a whole different problem. I think we're going to have some social changes. We're going to have some value changes as a society before we can make that happen. And I don't think we're there yet. Would I like to see that as an eventual goal? Would we? I agree that would be the morally best option. But with our current situation and with the social status of it and the addiction level still there, enforcing it is a completely different matter. And I don't know that that's actually doable. I mean, I would like to find a way to do it, but I don't know that it's feasible in the current climate right now. Right? Your first solution is to get more people promoting sobriety. So you remove the social need. I don't think prohibition works. Prohibition has been successful in some countries. So diesel, there's a difference. And that is one thing I will give some of the Islamic countries credit for. I will have a problem with a whole lot of stuff they've done. Let's be clear. I will give credit on that one. A lot of them have successfully banned alcohol within down to very low levels, but they're draconian in their implementation. It works, but the only way it works is when truly draconian measures are implemented, which is the problem. Right? That's the problem. And it's unlike other drugs because you can cut off the source. Right? You can cut off the source of cocaine. The problem is the origins of alcohol are all of our foods. Almost every major food source we eat can, in theory, be turned into alcohol. Right? this creates a problem, right? This creates a problem. I think our real solution, I think we can go hard on hard drugs. I think we should use the military to wipe it out, shut it down, shut down the flow. I think it should be treated like a war. We should use the military. We have an enormous military budget. We should definitely be shutting down the cartels. Totally doable. That we have the ability to do that right now if we really took it serious. So let's get rid of the crack and the meth and the heroin and the coke. As far as alcohol, I think you need a more social-based solution right now, which means popularize sobriety more. Put out more information, more knowledge, make it mainstream knowledge that actual current research doesn't show health benefits to wine in small amounts, because it doesn't. That's all been debunked. That's very small amounts in moderation can still cause cancer and so on, because we know that it can, right? So we need to push that health in, and we need to popularize. We have to popularize sobriety. Hey, Bobby, I'm fully aware the cartels pretty much run Mexico for all purposes, unfortunately. Is Thanksgiving a big time for families that drink? It is, yeah. And Bobby, you raise a valid point, which is why, unfortunately, this is really a military matter to where we would have to put our foot down, because it's the detriment to our country of that flow of drugs is a problem. I mean, let's get over to one of the hearts of the matters of the illegal immigration problem. It also allows the flow of drugs. It's not just about immigration, and we need to be clear on that. And that's why it's such a hot topic, because it's not just immigrants coming across. It's one set of problems. It's the flow of drugs. It's also the flow of sex trafficking, right? It's the flow of sex slaves being brought across, but even bigger on the larger scale, is that flow of drugs. But you're right. The cartels are intertwined with the police and military. This means this has to be a military issue. And yeah, that could be ugly. That could cause a conflict with other countries. But we also have to look at with the greatest harm to our people. I mean, think about what has absolutely devastated our country. The flow of hard drugs. How much multi-generational poverty and crime does it create? Right? All right. Some of the raw distributors. I'm going to say, hey, and here's what I would say to a lot of guys: if push comes to shove, and we really wage a war on drugs, we're going to be losing our gear supply. So, dude, you're going to have to go to the T clinic. But realistically, let's come over to that. If we're all getting just legal gear, and you're not having to compete against guys on grams and grams, because nobody's really getting the flow of gear coming in. It's not like there's going to be pro bodybuilder size dudes running around anyways. Our ideas of what's going to be a big jack dude is going to drop way, way, way down. If dudes are only getting 250 milligrams from the T clinic and a little growth hormone, you see what I'm saying? Nobody's going to be massive. You're going to have pro bodybuilders dropping down to my size, or a bit bigger. I mean, they got good genetics, obviously. So the viewpoint of what a really big dude is going to change. It's going to change, in that scenario. But yeah, for those of us in the lifting world, is that a ramification of all this? And you are seeing Trump make inroads there. I wish that he would actually go much harder on that. He's getting blowback. But I wish both parties would jump in on that. This should not be a partisan issue at this point, given just the sheer damage that hard drugs have caused to our country. I wish both parties could set aside politics and ideology and say, we have to fix this through any means necessary. And if that means using the military, we have to go hard on this. Like, I wish that that's something that the two parties could set aside, because I think at the end of the day, both sides of the aisle really want to get rid of crack and meth and heroin completely, like completely. And that doesn't mean, hey, we're busting all the guys out of the street level. No, we've got to deal with it at the source. Hell, what would that do for our prisons and crime rate? What would that do for our welfare rate? I mean, we talk about problems, with poverty-ridden communities. Well, what happens if they don't have drugs? Hello, Christopher. Christopher's in my Facebook. I'm mostly on the tubes right now, Christopher. I've got tons of people in there, so I'm kind of tapping back and forth. But I'll entertain questions and hear both. I'm multi-streaming. But you look at that and say, okay, so what happens in the ghettos if the flow of drugs stops? How much easier is it to fix the crime and the poverty? So these are where we would have to look at solutions. If you want real solutions, where we stop playing politics and we say, how do we really fix these problems? There's your solutions. You've got to end the flow of hard drugs into our communities. And I mean, really end it. No games. Really wage the war on drugs like a real war, using drones, using special forces teams. Clear it out. Yeah, it'll be ugly for a little while. But when the flow of crack into the hood, of crack and heroin into the hood is gone, when the flow of meth into the trailer parks is gone, what's the end result? Everybody wins. Crime goes down. Welfare rates go down. Employment goes up. Less violence, less poverty. Because, I mean, really, it is addiction that is the primary cause of multi-generational poverty. Really is. There's your source. There's the wellspring from which it comes. People are free to disagree. I mean, people can have their own views. True, no, it absolutely is not. That's been debunked. Furthermore, the polyphenols in the wine exist in grapes. You can just go eat a handful of grapes to get that polyphenol benefit you're chasing. The wine is still a poison. The wine is still a carcinogen. One glass of wine a month is enough to show a rise in cancer risk, according to all the data. One a month. This is the leading researchers saying this at this point. And all that old data. So that's what I mean by this is what has to be dealt with at the social level. We have to make people aware, and we need governments and medical doctors and researchers to actually make the general public aware that none of that is actually true. Like, that is debunked, biased data, half of it done by alcoholics who, drinkers who are putting out the research. This has been debunked. So we need to be clear on that, Throughway. This has been debunked already. All that pro-alcohol and moderation research has been thrown out the window in 2025. The data's been ripped apart. And has been pointed out, it all fell back to, even the red wine, was the polyphenols from the grapes. You could just eat a handful of grapes. You don't have to have the poison. Sorry, I had a client. I don't drink, but I heard red wine was an exception. Appears not. Yeah, but that's what I mean. We have so much misinformation still on that, and that's a problem. And this is what I mean by society needs to be educated on these things better, right? So because the social norms are, well, there was some research showing this or that, so this is okay, right? Or alcohol in moderation is okay. It's not harmful. Well, that's not actually true. That is not what the researchers believe or show. That's not what the evidence shows. Right. So people have to get up to speed on that. And was always pointed out, there were always experts who pointed out, look, even if this data was true on the wine, you could just eat grapes. Why are these alcoholic doctors using this? And they're always drinkers. The doctors who say, well, this over here showed, and it's like, this is a doctor with their own serious semi-drinking problem sometimes, who's then pointing that out. Like, this is a problem. So again, this is an education issue. So that's part of your solution too, is understanding that difference. All right. So how do they get back handlers from the alcohol industry? No, they don't. Like, that whole thing of doctors getting money for any of this stuff is not based on reality, David. Like, talk to doctors about it and they'll be like, this stuff has been really blown out of proportion. They're like, the average doctor's not really getting kickbacks from pharma companies at all. They're like, and if they do, it's maybe a lunch, right? You get a $25 lunch to sit down and talk with the drug rep and a pen. I've had doctors who are like, that's what I've gotten from big pharma, from the drug reps. Man, they took me to a $25 lunch and they gave me a pen and a coffee cup. That's their sellout. Like, that's what Pfizer did for me. They gave me a pen and a $25 lunch. No, I don't use AI for that. No, AI is not reliable for digging through research very effectively. It gets a lot of stuff wrong, in my experience. I guess that's reassuring to know. It's also, as I've seen some doctors and other people point out, all the nonsense with, they want you to do this so they can sell you statins. And it's like, they're like, statins are such a low profit drug at this point. They're like, the profit margin is so small on statins because they're so cheap and competitive. They're like, no, not really. Food companies are your biggest problem. So actually, when it comes to bias research, if you're looking at what real experts are saying, like, big pharma is not your biggest problem there, funding. It is food companies. There's your funding bias. Which, lo and behold, really the medical companies are not the one overly concerned with those specifics, willing to pump money into it. The food companies are. hey, buy our food. Because as long as people are, big pharma is going to have business as long as people are eating garbage of any type. You just buy us anything. Right? And look at the stuff they're worried about. They don't want you to eat butter so that they can sell you drugs. Yeah, because butter is going to totally cure you. They want you to eat vegetables. It's like, yeah, no, they don't. It's just absurd. So food manufacturers sponsor stuff. Coca-Cola will sponsor stuff. Nestle will sponsor stuff. Beef and pork industry sponsor stuff. You know. So then you have to watch for that bias, if you're going to truly dig through research. Right. And keep in mind, what group of people always say, well, doctors don't know anything about nutrition. Well, doctors send you out to registered dietitians. Doctor still probably knows more about nutrition than the average personal trainer does. They definitely have more formal education in it. They definitely know more about the body. But usually what is it that everyone's, well, doctors don't know anything. But what group makes the big deal about that? The keto people. It's the keto people who make that big deal. Right? So again, because the doctor wants you to eat less saturated fat and less refined sugar and eat more fruits and vegetables. Well, what does he know? Right? The doctor doesn't think you should eat bacon. So there you go. There's that lack of nutrition research. The doctor doesn't think you should eat bacon and butter every day. So he told you. Because the keto people know that's what you're supposed to eat. It's ridiculous. Refined meats are horrible for you, right? Exactly. Bacon, sausage, data's pretty clear on that. Refined red meats, butter, refined saturated fats. And again, that's going to be your butter, your beef tallow, refined sugars. There's your worst stuff. If we look at the data, these are our big problems. And I don't care about other countries. I'm only talking the U.S. I'm fully aware margarine with trans fat is legal in some other countries. It's not in the United States. It is not on the shelves here. You will go to prison for selling it to people. It is illegal. So it's not a problem here, tell the people, fix your countries then if that's so. So you take that out of the equation. I'm not going to answer that one, David. That is one trolls love to jump into. So I'm just going to ignore that one. Save myself a lot of grief. So I'm going to save myself 17 new videos being made and just skip that one. I know that you didn't mean it. You probably were not aware. So next. And pretend I didn't see it. Yeah. All good, man. You probably didn't know that. Eventually, I want to get to where I can tell people I'm going to ignore a question without having to go into the reason, and people can just understand. It's the frustration is regulars will go, but why? Why are you ignoring my question? It's usually related to something in that nature. 9 out of 10 times, that's what it's going to be. People are just weird. Right? people are just people. I'm probably going to shut the Facebook down. I'm going to stay in the YouTubes a bit. Not much happening on Facebook. They don't get views till after, and they don't see the whole thing. So eventually it'll kick them more into the algo again. My other Facebook stuff's doing decent. So I don't want to over flood it though either with lives. You still ripping guitars? Not as much as I'd like. I've been busy with all this stuff. I will eventually push it harder again. I mean, I still play. I'm not getting in as an optimal amount of practice per week. I still play. Yes. All right. I can squeeze in 20 minutes here or there, but I'm not necessarily getting practice every day. You know, if I can get 30 minutes in, 40 minutes a week though, try to get that in. Oh, I just realized this is way earlier than normal. A lot of people aren't even expecting me to be live till now. But the notices should be going out because there's definitely less spamming. No workout today. I saw it and I was surprised. But the notifications are going out too, so that's good. Well, not pretty consistently. Why is everyone so quiet? I don't know. There's plenty of people watching. There's likes. There's plenty of viewers. Nobody is asking anything. It is a little strange. All right. Let's see how this vote's going though. 34 people voted in the vote. So that's been engagement. I don't know why they're so quiet, man. People are just like, we don't want to talk. I voted for your mom. All right. A lot of people, she tends to win. So most of the votes, since I do leave the option for your mom, she tends to win the majority. Trying to sleep here. Ian McCarthy was my chosen Sully. So let's hear your reasons, guys. So let's discuss the vote, man. Lars, did you vote? Trying to sleep here. All right. Lars, did you vote in the poll? So let's hear your reasons for your votes. Why do you want them as your cellmate? I'm going to guess anyone who chose Ian is probably because they want the least possibly aggressive cellmate. You know? It's going to be the most benign. Interesting conversation, not a physical threat. I don't know, man. He did beat up an old woman when he robbed her. Exactly, not a physical threat. I could control him or something, right? Oh, man. I did Ian for training purposes only. You don't want to work out with Cali muscle? You can't go wrong with high reps. That's a direct quote. That was his number one piece of training advice to people. Right? Cali Muscle's number one training advice I ever heard was you can't go wrong with high reps. I thank you for that amazing insight, Kelly. We're all better for having heard this. You can't go wrong with it. All right. I feel like Cali cardio is going to be too funky, right? Man. I couldn't be sleeping with Chuck Basher around. Right? The booty warrior in there with you, man. Gotta watch him. I feel like Callie. Yeah, Lars is over here trying to sleep, man. He said, James, you don't need to yell, man. We don't got to yell. There's no need for all that. Arsenio doesn't want Callie muscle. He don't want Chucky Basher trying to get up in the booty hole. Mind you, Callie with his ejection friction is 10% isn't a threat. All right. True, he does have that heart issue. Yeah, he does have that heart issue. I guess Peg Watson would probably be the biggest threat. More valuable than air, right? Well, in prison, booty was more important than food sometimes. You know, booty was more important than water. Booty was more important than air. Booty, talking about a man's butt. God, that seems ridiculous. Oh, God. Which bar would you rather have in a home gym? Swiss bar or safety bar? Texas Power Bar. He said, I like booty. Oh, yeah. That's just the funniest part is that he had to specify what he meant by booty. He's like, a man's butt. Lord, help us all. That's going to be a classic piece of memeable content forever. All right. All these quotes coming here. Yeah, he did say in his prime, even the guards won't say. No, absolutely not. Why would I let Ian crash at my place after he gets out? He's not going to be getting out for a long time, I suspect. But why? Why would I let him crash at my place? I don't think so. I don't want him around. No, I'm done helping people out and stuff like that. We're done with it. No. A lot of the original science-based guys disappeared. They did. They fell off. I hate the science-based because a lot of it's not even science-based. Sebastian Sunny. All right. We got to do it with the voice through way. We can do this the easy way. We can do this the hard way. The choice is yours. Sebastian. I clown Sebastian too. Imagine he goes to that little non-sanctioned powerlifting meet and then says, well, because the rules of the meet allowed you to lift your butt off the bench, I lifted my butt off the bench. At this little goofy, non-sanctioned, silly Indian powerlifting meet he went to. And it's like, how do you do something like that and not think you're going to get ripped apart for that, Sebastian? I gave him hell. To show up and make a fool of yourself like that and say, well, because it's something that would be made fun of, they allowed it at our competition, so I did it. When you know you're going to be trolled for it, like every real lifter is going to make fun of you. And also, what sort of Mickey Mouse setup is this? Oh, we're going to do our own little powerlifting meet is a non-sanctioned type meet, but we're going to have in the rules that dudes are allowed to lift their butt off the bench. Like, really? You literally made that a rule at the event. I just can't. And Sebastian talking about you got to do a one arm lat pull down so that you line up the angles of the fibers with your arm on the other side. I just can't with these guys. The absurdity of it. That's important. Important. All right. All right. I don't know. I think he was an engineer by trade, right? He was trying to take scientific ideas unrelated to exercise and apply them to working out and call it science, right? Absolutely. Coach, what was the most capacity you've had in one stream? James, we don't need all caps, man. We don't gotta yell. I don't know. I've definitely had like 20 in a stream though. Probably the same person over and over too. I've had the same guy pretty much show up every 3 minutes with a new account in one stream before, just down the road. They were all made the same day. But you do realize over half the votes are only one person. So you guys may not. I definitely know this at this point. Over half of the bands are the same person. If y'all haven't figured it out, most of them are one guy. I'd be willing to say 70% of the bands have been the same person. What is he in? I don't know. He's in custody. So for you to know that, to know what he's doing right now, to figure out, you need to figure out it in the county jail in Atlanta. What is it like in there? He's in county, waiting trial, to my knowledge. Right? He's not been bonded out to my knowledge. What percentage of newly created accounts? Newly created, like made the same day? 95% of them. Right? Probably 95% of someone who shows up here, they just made it the same day, the newly created. 95% of them are trolls. And they're almost all the same person. Maybe an occasional second person. Ian's on the top bunk. Right? I don't know what's going to happen with Ian coming out. Who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, I don't want to say I don't care. I almost don't care at this point, honestly. Not what happens with him coming in and out. I'm going to be right back though, guys. I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff is over for him. Dude, look at the possible sentences. He's not getting out in just a couple of years. All right, we're back. Dropping in. What's the cellmate question? Well, because Ian has got a felony pending. Wes Watson's got a felony pending. And, Chuck Baxter made endless videos about his prison time. So, we're asking who would you want as a cellmate? Which one of them? And I always have to give your mom as a voting option because it's just the Jason Blaha channel. Right? Your mom is always an option on the table. Them's the rules. What do you mean? Is it overformed? Like the very first crime on the list carries up to 20 years in prison. And the odds that he's going to be found guilty is pretty high. Definitely don't want to be in there with Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate is an aggressive, closeted homosexual who's a trained MMA fighter. You know, I don't think you want Andrew Tate as a cellmate, to be honest, man. You know. Ian had that pre-workout product back in the day called Totalis, right? Yeah. But that's the problem with Ian. All Ian had to do was just not mess up. Like, let's be clear. And this is why I get frustrated and pissed at Ian for going down the route he did, all his political nonsense, all his addiction nonsense, right? All Ian had to do in life was not screw up. He came from a family with money that paid for his life. He didn't have to pay rent most of his adult life. His family had money and took care of him. Came from education, came from money, had a successful business, and a following online. All Ian had to do to have a good life was literally just not do drugs or alcohol. That's it. That's all not screw up. That's all he had to do. That's it. He would have had family money coming to him on top of having his business. He probably would have inherited a couple $1 million later in life too. All he had to do was not screw up. That's it. You know what I mean? There comes a point where I just go, dude, really? That's all you had to do, man? I'm a warrior too. Right? Tate is the real booty warrior, right? I mean, he really is, man. I mean, I don't see how anybody can read. And everyone I know, all the women I know laugh. They say the same thing. They're like, Andrew Tate is clearly dude's in a closet. Every woman I know who sees his stuff, they like laugh at it. I don't see how anyone could look at the things he says and not think that he's just straight compensating for that and projection over it. And I had the shock. I've had someone say, what do you mean he hates women? I'm like, how can you read what he writes or puts up and not think that he hates women? I mean, in his own words, a direct quote, he said, all women are scum. That is what he said, his words. Well, when men find out that all women are scum, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to say you hate women. You know, you can't say an entire group of people are scum, gender and ethnicity, like you hate them. Right. Tate idolizes him, so it makes sense. And it could be the case, man. You know? Yeah. I mean, but that's the point. Like, how do you interpret that as any other way? I mean, that is very straightforward. When you say that a whole group, that they're all scum, you clearly hate that demographic of people. It doesn't matter what number, you can pick any group of people, but when you say they're all scum, that is directly expressing that you hate that group. Like, there is no other way to interpret that. So why does he hate all women? That's where you dig deeper. Do you think it's just about his dad, though? Do you think that's the only reason, Bobby? Or is there deeper seated stuff? You know, he's got problems for sure. You know, But I don't know why they worship him, because there has been a threat on masculinity, and young boys are searching. Younger men who are disenfranchised are looking for an answer. They're looking for father figures. They're looking for leaders. And so people like Tate prey on that. That's really what it is. And as soon as if they feel masculinity has been socially under attack, they're looking for someone to give them the answer. Aha, he's kind it too, so he must be the good guy. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys talking about it are not. And they're not addressing any form of healthy masculinity. They're not addressing a healthy masculinity. Well, the red pill movement in general is not a healthy masculinity. Not at all. Right? Not at all. And so that kind of frustrates me. If you look at all those courses leading to, it's all garbage. You think, I don't care if Tate's natty. I could care less if Tate is natty or not. It's not even an interesting topic for me. Fitness courses, business courses, yeah. And keep in mind how much of but he's making money business. How much of his business is illegal business done overseas? Come on. Like, oh yeah, I got a guy who's conducted possible shady business with felonies and is possibly, felony crime stuff abroad that he's making money on, and shady stuff. That's you're going to learn business from? Seriously? Come on. That's not evidence of success. A product ecosystem for disenfranchised males. That's exactly what it is. But the whole red pill movement is like that. And that's what pissed me off. Like, I had someone tell me, well, Jason, you're not MGTOW. They thought I was MGTOW. Right? And I'm like, why would you think that? They're like, because you promote masculinity, and we know that you had some bad exes. I'm like, I'm not MGTOW, dude. Right? He recommends making a website and getting all the money for a product before actually having the product. Yeah, that's not. The whole Ian thing makes no sense. Why did he try to rob an elderly couple? No, Alpha. What do you mean it makes no sense? Do you not know anything about Ian? Do you not know Ian? I know Ian. I've had conversations. I've had video calls with Ian. You're asking me why an addict and an alcoholic who has been kicked out of his home and lost his home, who is addicted, why would an alcoholic and an addict who has lost his home and desperate rob an elderly couple? His mother pressed domestic violence charges from him after she evicted him because there was an assault involved. So if you lost sight of that context, Alpha? Right. Yeah, he burned his bridges with even there, Oh, man. And I get it, things happen in families, but this falls back to his addiction problems, And it's not like people didn't try to help him. That's the whole point. A lot of people tried to help him in this industry. I tried to help him. Other people tried to help him. Right. Yep. It's so crazy to hear him talking from his parents' house back in the day, taking the moral high ground on everything versus right now. Right. Keep in mind, taking a moral high ground, living in his parents' house, paying no rent. He didn't have to pay bills back then. His family provided for him. He came from money. Yeah, the parents worked for him. He comes into direct contact with the Genoa reverse, tends to become effed up. Probably, I don't think that's why Ian became effed up. But to some extent, because that whole thing is just a cesspool of mental health issues. The entire thing, the whole Genovaverse is just a cesspool of mental health problems. And don't get me wrong, I've had my own problems myself. I've had my own depression issues. I have a PTSD diagnosis, like an official one. I actually do, like all BS aside, like on paper diagnosis and so on. So I'm not saying I don't have my own issues, but come on. He's very good at assimilating information and talking about it, but he can't apply it, which frustrates him, right? Right. Yeah. The tears above what you ever did, right? Oh, man. Yes, that was a little ADHD, gotcha. I'm good, Doofy. How are you? You just happened to make the new account right after I just banned another new account. No, that's not suspicious at all, Doofy. But how are you today? I have severe ADHD, but I don't act like an Ian, right? There you go. I know other people with ADHD who don't do that. You're starting a push-pull leg split. Okay, cool, man. I actually don't have ADHD. I know a lot of people who do, though. I know multiple people who do. I know people who are on the spectrum who still manage to function. Right? I know multiple people on the spectrum who still are not becoming addicts and robbing old ladies. Had it my whole life, but got diagnosed as an adult. Right? Right. We overcome our difficulties. Right. You overcome it. If you externalize executive function, you can do anything. Right. Hey, Doofy, I don't think your whole question appeared. You can see my bench on camera. I did a 325 for a triple pause a couple of days ago. Done 225 for 19 pause this week. I don't think he is ready. What do you mean? What do you mean he's not ready for prison? Better bench your dead first. Depends on what you're doing. So if you want me to write you out a program, Doofy, that's one-on-one. But if you're doing a push-pull legs, you're probably not doing them in the same day. So why would you ask that? Right. So Alpha, are you? I feel like you're kind of behind the times on this topic. You're like, well, why would he do that? Well, we broke it down. You're like, prison will break him. What do you mean? He's already been broke. And he's totally ready for prison. What do you mean ready for prison? He assaulted and robbed an old lady. That's as ready for prison as you get. I wonder how many people get into bodybuilding out of insecurity. An enormous number. Enormous number. Why would he get psych ward for that? No, no, Alpha. He's going to regular normal prison. You don't get the psych ward. No, he doesn't need to be in. Why would he need to be in the psych ward? No, if what he did and appears to do, and the video footage and everything, again, I'm calling it alleged because he's not. Um, I'm calling it alleged because he's not been convicted, but the evidence is pretty bad. If he has done what he's alleged to do, no, he needs to be in general population, regular prison for the next 10 to 20 years. No, if what he has been accused of doing, he is actually did and is found guilty. What he allegedly did, avoiding any defamation here. Let us be clear. He committed aggravated assault against an elderly couple, robbed from them, and then took their credit card and tried to use it down the street. All right. No, I wouldn't. So, Alpha, why are you so hung up on me helping Ian? Why are you so hung up on this? Your mom's running hands down. Why would I want anything to do with him? Why would you think that I should have anything to do with him? I'm going to ask you what's the issue here? Well, then you can go help him out. So if you care for him, then you can go give him a call. You can put some money on his books. I mean, that's your purview. I'm not helping him. I want nothing to do with him. Okay. Did you ever go through the typical pre-walk preparation most lifters do before you realize they were garbage? No, because that came after my time. Yeah, coach doesn't associate with him. I'm not going to deal with Ian. No, Ian is a felon. It's not about a potential felon. Ian just committed a violent felony there. If I knew he was innocent, it would be different. I don't think he's innocent. You know. And keep in mind, Ian previously threw away our friendship before this. Nathan said, do you show how to do standing crunches anywhere on your channel? Probably. If you go back far enough in the past, I probably do. You might have to go back 12 years. But I'm pretty sure I do at some point. You know, I don't know. I don't think about it as cheeks are getting clapped. Probably not accounting. I don't know. I have no idea. But the thing is, it's let's set aside the fact that Ian already threw away our friendship. He already did that. He made that choice already before he committed this act. So why would someone who threw away our friendship, who I realize was not a good person, threw away our friendship, blocked him on social media for it, why do I want to go help him when he just committed a horrible crime? Like what's the logic here? I was already done with him. Before he did this. You can't be serious. But if you care about him, you know, you can go put money on his books. Right? Pretty straightforward, homie. I just got here. Who went to prison? Bro, I have countless videos. This has already been discussed, man. So do a channel search for Ian McCarthy. You can hear for an hour, you can hear the backstory about the arrest, what he's been charged with. Like, you know, we don't need to reiterate the fine details of his current pending charge. No, it's not even in this one. You got to go back a couple weeks. All right. So do a channel search on my channel for the name for Ian McCarthy. If you really care, I got a couple of live streams where it's the first 30 minutes. If you want all the fine details, they're all there. All right. Yep, there you go. Yeah, so his current pending charges are aggravated assault of an elderly person and robbery, with a couple of others tacked on after. So there you go. With video footage and eyewitnesses. No, I've had video calls with him in the past. I've never met him in person. It's been many years since I've had even a video call. He threw away our friendship a long time ago, guys. The first one carries up to 20. The very first charge, it carries up to 20 years. He has priors too. He has 2 DDO. He actually had a warrant out already when he got this. So he had an active warrant when this happened already. So the first one's up to 20 for the first felony out of the 3 crimes he's got charged. It's up to 20 years. Aggravated assault of an elderly person in Georgia. You know, up to 20, bro. Yep. To figure out how to make money in his online teens, and he tries this exactly. All right. Yep. Pretty much, dude. So you can see, like, I don't want anything to do with him. Like, I'm not interested in helping him at all. I don't want to talk to him. I don't care. I'm not trying to be cold. But, he acted like a jackass and threw our friendship away. And then, he commits an act like that. I don't want anything to do with him. You can go put money on his books if you like. That's your purview. I'm not going to judge you. You care about him that much. I gave Ian money before to help him out. I'm not doing it again. Nope. I gave him money before when he was hard up and hurting. And he insulted me on my Facebook page later as a result. Okay. All right. But guys, I think I'm gonna wind this one down. We're gonna wind it down. Yeah, Ian crossed the line there, It's like, so I think Coach gonna wind this down. Love you guys. you guys a bicep shot before we go? Oh, Mount Bicephalus. No, he pushed her down, dude. She was a 70-year-old woman. He pushed her down and took her purse. She had to go to the hospital to be checked out. He pushed her down in the parking lot and he took her purse on the ground. And then he ran. All right, guys, we're out. Love you guys. Catch you tomorrow. No, dude, he pushed down an old lady, robbed her and her husband. They were like 70 years old. Yeah. Nope. We're out, guys. Take care.